friends. We are reading Ghost Academy by E.C. Farrell, and we are on Chapter 12. I apologize for such a long break in between chapters. Weekends at Locklear are anything but boring, with the pressure of waiting for an invisible axe to fall, a la our friendly neighborhood Xers. Everyone likes to straight up party. The first few times I went, I hung out in a corner, just observing the antics. But tonight, I plan to join in on the crazy. Because another week has gone by with no word from Theo, and I'm kind of panicking. Aya sits on the end of her bed as I stand in the middle of the room, trying to come up with a good party outfit. She's already dressed in a sparkly peach strapless thing. Even her glasses work with the outfit somehow. Maybe she came up with some specific calculation for it. I could never in a million years wear that color because my mother always told me it would wash me out. I screw my eyes shut as the memory of her voice flits past me. Though the words are very distinct, I can't quite grasp the sound or tone of her voice. When my temples throb, I give up and focus on my own outfit. Aya claps a second later. I glance down to make sure I succeeded, relieved to find the freaking gorgeous green sequin dress I had imagined. It dips in a low V and shows off my long legs. No hope of a tan when you don't have a body, but oh well. Aya floats up, glides across the floor to grab my hands and spins me around. That is so cute. I love it. That shade enhances your coloring and the cut is perfect for your shape. She hooks an arm through mine. You ready? I give my shoulders a little shimmy. I died ready. Aya giggles. That really doesn't work. Yeah, I was trying a thing. Go big or go home. I approve of how you think. Together we make our way to the 4th floor. Before we're even halfway up the stairs, we can hear the music. It vibrates the walls and jitters through my spirit like an involuntary shiver. We glide through the door into a crowd of ghosts, all moving in sync to the beat. Neon glow sticks light up my arms. Strobe lights blink across the ceiling, but Rafe Warren's smile outshines them all. I hate to be a cliché, but everything else legit fades in the wake of it. Aya shoulders me towards him. I drift a few feet before I force myself to pause and glance back at her. She waves her hands, nudging me in his direction, a grin spreading across her face as she mouths the phrase, "Get 'em, girl." Before I can protest, she snags a partner of her own to dance with. "Hey, Billy," Yasmin waves from a couch in the corner. Quinn sits with her, pressed up against his arm, eyes darting around the room. When I wave, though, he actually throws me a small smile. It's good to see him here, not hiding out in his and Rafe's room. We're dead, but that doesn't mean we have to act like it. Here, he doesn't have to worry about bloodlust, and I hope that gives him a little more freedom than he probably experienced while he was alive. In the spirit of afterlife partying, I grab a red Solo cup and guzzle whatever the contents are. Warmth billows through me. Someone slides another drink into my hand and I knock it back. 2 more numb every aspect of my being and snap me straight into Rafe's chest. It's strong. A match for my own strength. One my mind has no memory of, but my body does. I slide my hands up Rafe's shoulders. "Hey." He chuckles and slips his arms around my waist. "You look pretty amazing in that dress, Martin." I rest my head against his chest. "Yeah, you look pretty great, no matter what." His cool breath coasts across my forehead. "You're not so bad yourself in that flannel." I tilt my head up. It's my signature look. If it works, why change it? Rafe grins so that stupid dimple overtakes my whole horizon. Nothing short of perfect, really. Rafe swallows, his Adam's apple bobbing, and though I shouldn't have asked. Rafe shakes his head and pulls me a little closer. Don't be sorry, and I promise I'll tell you eventually. He screws on a smile I can tell takes a lot of effort. Maybe when you have your own death story to share. Fair's fair, right? I chuckle. Excellent point, Mr. Warren. With a little sigh, I lean into him again, sliding my arms around his neck and breathing in his comforting scent. Of all the things I need to figure out about my life, that honestly seems like the least terrifying. What if? Rafe lets me hang on to the silence for a few moments before asking, what if what? What if I was a horrible person? Fear cracks my voice in half. It's a thought that's niggled at the back of my mind for the last few days. Rafe snorts. I can't even imagine that being true, but if it was, you'd be in good company. He says the last part so quietly I can barely hear it, and he tenses against me. The things I did before I died aren't the best. I cling to him a little tighter. As he said to me, I can't even entertain the idea that he could have been a horrible person before he died. Horrible people aren't racked with guilt the way he so clearly is. They either don't care or make excuses, blaming other people for their wrongdoing. This has to be the reason he's still trapped on this side. He needs to be able to forgive himself. We're hovering a few inches above the ground, and I don't ever want to leave this spot. For the first time since I died, I feel stable. As ghosts, we feel a constant tug, like something is trying to suck us away. But here, in Rafe's arms, I feel anchored and steady. Nothing can pull me away as long as I hang on to him. Someone lets out a disgusted scoff from behind me, and I glance over my shoulder. I have to fight off a grimace when I see dimple-piercing Melissa standing a few feet away with her arms crossed. The sound she'd made matches her sour expression. Our best strategy would be to ignore her and the group of girls behind her, to float away from whatever accusations they're trying to level at us. Instead, I make the rookie mistake of engaging her. Can I help you? You have the nerve to dance with him after that stunt you pulled in corporal contact, Melissa says. He's right here and can speak for himself, Rafe says. I want to dance with Billy, and I wanted to be in my fox form in that class, so there's no problem. I don't have some deep-seated self-loathing based on my powers. But thanks for your concern. Melissa gives him a sad look. I'm sure she doesn't mean to be pitying. Sweetie, you don't have to defend her. I know it must be hard with the way soups have treated lower shifters for so long. She places a hand on his shoulder. I arc a brow at her. Lower shifters? Well, that's not condescending at all. Melissa glares at me. I'm not saying they are lower shifters. I'm just using the phraseology others use to make a point. It's all I can do not to laugh. We really just need to walk away, but I guess if I want to avoid more verbal attacks and accusations of treating Rafe badly, I need to be careful in how I suggest retreat. Rafe, do you? A scream slices through the room. Rafe and I both jump, spinning away from Melissa and her posse to find the source. One of the girls near Haya crumples to her knees. White-blue flames jump over her skin as she falls to the floor, writhing. Everyone near her jumps backward, all eyes wide with horror. If I still had a heartbeat, I'm positive it would be racing. Haya clasps both hands over her mouth, her typically studious expression crumbling in sheer terror. Still holding on to Rafe with one hand, I reach out, grabbing her upper arm. My voice is buried somewhere deep in my chest. The flaming girl's form smears and loses shape, morphing into a twisting, turning shadow that continues screaming its pain. It tumbles around the room and ghosts flee from it, but one boy can't get out of the way in time. The shadow pulls him into the darkness, adding his screams to its own, cutting off all of his light. In spite of this, I feel a tug toward it the same way I did in the forest not so long ago. My core aches for this poor girl, longs to help her, to set her right. But when she twists in our direction, I know I can't risk the others getting swallowed. bust through the crowd, followed by a handful of other teachers. They shout at us to get downstairs. Even as I help Rafe drag Haya along, I glance back over my shoulder to try and see how things end. My last view is of Kaz, face